Jesus looked around him and saw the people were harassed and dejected like sheep without a shepherd. So he ran around manically trying to meet all their needs personally. No, that's not what happens, is it? In today's Gospel from Matthew, we hear that Jesus' response to seeing the scale of the need around him is to build a team we now call the 12 apostles. We've heard earlier in the Gospel that Jesus calls individual disciples to himself and he builds a large community of followers, because that's what disciple means. But today is the first time we hear the 12 named as apostles. An apostle means one who is sent. So Jesus builds this team of apostles around him, I think for two reasons. And the first is to increase his own reach, that even though he is the Son of God, able to do miracles, at least in his earthly ministry, he couldn't be everywhere all at once. So by sending 12 others out in his name to share in his mission, he increases the number of people he can proclaim the kingdom of God to. But secondly, in doing so, he builds up a long-term strategy. He's setting up succession planning for the time when he will no longer be in earthly form. He's setting up the leaders of what will become for us the church. So let's look at what that means for us today. For us, I think it tells that the response that we too should have to the scale of the need around us in the world today, and the scale is enormous, is that we too need to build teams within the church, because teams work together, and to work as a team is really the nature of church, is the nature of community. We are baptized, and we are baptized for mission, but mission is as a people, not just for us to be lone rangers doing good things. We are much more effective, we are much more collaborative when we work as a team. So I thought I'd mention today the way in which teams are used in our parish. Firstly, like every parish, we have a parish pastoral council and a parish finance committee. These are, in fact, teams which are required by canon law or diocesan directive. But as a parish priest, you'd be foolish not to want to have them, whether they were required or not. The finance committee are my chief advisors around governance and finance matters, but the governance is much broader than just finance. It's really all aspects, I guess, of the business operating environment, which we have to operate within a secular society, so we need people who understand those strategies, and I rely very much on our finance committee for that. Then we have the parish pastoral council, and the pastoral council are my key advisors around pastoral strategy and vision. And our pastoral council has in the last few years developed a pastoral plan, articulated 5 pillars of mission. They are connect, worship, serve, give and grow. And we build so much about the life of our parish around those 5 pillars. They are my chief advisors, and when new questions emerge, I ask them for advice and help, and I take seriously the advice that I am given by my pastoral council. Beyond that, we have the parish staff, and I call our parish staff the parish team, because we work closely together. Although each individual person, and there are 8 of us, including our parish clergy, myself and Father Aldrin, although we each lead ministries directly ourselves, we work better when we come together to discuss what is going on, to understand what the needs are in different ministries, and to make sure we coordinate the life of the whole parish, so there are hopefully not clashes or double bookings or things working contrary to each other. But then we also developed a number of new teams in our parish this year, which I call project teams. And there's 5 of them. They are a liturgy team for OLHC Church, a liturgy team for St Gerard's Church, the faith formation team, the devotions team, and the social justice team. Let me briefly describe each of those. Both churches have their own individual liturgy team, because both churches are different spaces where liturgy is done a little differently. Liturgy, of course, is always the work of the whole church, but it's the work of the church in a particular place with particular people. So I work closely together with our leaders of each liturgical ministry. We meet together several times a year to do the planning for the big events like Easter and Christmas, then to review how those things have gone so we can learn, and then to look at what else do we need to do, what formation and training and resourcing do our ministers need to do their best in leading us in praise and worship of God. Then we have the faith formation team. Our parish has a really strong history of faith formation, and for some years we had Dennis McNamara employed as our faith formation leader. He did a wonderful job, but with him no longer employed by the parish, we instead have a group of volunteers who work together to plan out what parish programs will we put on. So programs such as Alpha, The Search, The Wild Goose, Unlocking the Mysteries of the Bible, Lenten programs, the Men Alive weekend, the spiritual exercise and Bishop David's talks. So really this faith formation team look to say, how do we best bring people to know, love and worship Jesus? That's the primary question we have that drives what programs we then offer to the parish. Social justice is something which is part of probably every parish's agenda, but often it's a long way down the list. There always seems to be more immediate concerns that seem to get in the way. So by having a faith formation team whom I meet regularly with, that helps to kind of keep issues of social justice in front of mind. And so we have a great team of people who then lead our initiatives. And in the past year and again this year, we're looking at issues around refugees, around the environment, and around women and children at risk. There may be other issues that emerge too, and the faith formation team are the ones who help to discern what is the greatest need and what can we make the best response to as a church. And the newest team is the devotions team. The devotions such as Divine Mercy, Rosary, certain processions, certain feast days tend to have a great momentum and great energy, but often they haven't been necessarily integrated into the whole life of the parish. And we want them to be, because these are really key ways of prayer. So this new team works together to plan out what will the devotions be that our parish will be having this year, and then make sure we communicate those well and engage others in the parish in those great prayer events. So beyond those 5 project teams, beyond the employed team of staff, and beyond the Pastoral Council and Finance Committee, really every other ministry works as a team, even if I'm not directly involved. And the good thing is I'm not directly involved in many of these teams. These teams have autonomy to run themselves, because if they don't, then the parish will be limited to what one person, the parish priest, can directly do. That was probably the model of the old Irish village church, where it was a small town, small community, and the parish priest could know everyone and do everything. We are far beyond that now. In a church where we have 1,000 people, and we hope there'll be 2,000 people, we need to be like the apostles, sent out in mission by Jesus to go and do things in his name, but not necessarily having to have any one person always involved. Any ministry that only has one person or relies on one single person is doomed to failure in the long run. But any ministry and any parish that has ministries where many people are involved and others can step up and take leadership will thrive, as I believe we are. And so our catechists have a designated leader for primary school and for high school, and they meet together each term to plan how they will teach, and then they go out into the classrooms and do that teaching. They're a team, not just individuals. They cover for each other, they support each other. The 2 St. Vincent de Paul conferences of Epi and Carlingford are also teams that meet together but then go out and work in ministry in places that we often don't see. Our liturgical ministries, they support each other, they work together as a team as well. Our ministers of communion to the sick go out and take communion to those that who are housebound, can't come to Mass, but they too are a team who work and support each other. When someone can't make it, someone else can come and fill in. So in these ways, we have great teamwork in our parish, and I hope there'll be even more. I invite you to consider being part of a team. Join a ministry, which means to join a team. Often we think, I don't want to go to meetings, or I don't want to be part of something big. I just want to go do my own little part. But to be part of something bigger means we are building the life of the parish community, and we're proclaiming the kingdom of God effectively. Because that's the last thing we hear Jesus do, is he instructs his disciples. He says, go out. And he says, don't go to Samaritan towns, just go directly to those places where you can be most effective. Now later on, Jesus changes the mission parameters and goes out to Samaritan and pagan towns as well. But at the start, it's very focused. Go to the place you can be most effective. Those Jewish towns and communities who are waiting for a Messiah will be most effective there. We too can say, what can we do that can be most effective in proclaiming the good news of God's love and proclaiming the kingdom of God to our community?